Morning, sir. Morning, sir. I sent you a direct message, a private one, as well as. Well, sir, are you there firstly? Somebody else might be wanting me.
Mic check. Hello guys, morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Alright. Xavier, I saw your messages. 2D CAD review still ongoing. And sure, you can go into group chat. That's right. Alright.
Sir, I have a
Yes.
concern too. It's about the first two activities I submitted both of them.
The first
And
what?
yeah, first and two, the second one. And it's saying that I have not submitted those in the grades.
This is the checkpoint 1 and 2?
Yeah. And the activities too, class activities. So
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I can check that. That's no big.
Because the terrain and the other thing I submitted in the wrong. But you saw it though. I submitted in the wrong checkpoint thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Let me see now. I am checking it. Start. You seen your ID number, right?
Yes.
Alright. Here's what I would do. Right, and I see here that it's marked. But I have it marked here. This is for checkpoint 1 and 2, you said? Sort of?
Yes.
Okay. I see it here that they are marked for you. Let me check the Alright, I'm gonna check I'll check the student grades and see to make sure that everything is functioning there and it's not left off of the list. Maybe it could be a matter where it left off. So alright, here what I'll do. I will check it while we go through the rest of the checkpoint 3, which is the final checkpoint. Well, not final checkpoint, but the final main checkpoint for the building.
All right, and sir, I'm having issues with only the windows. I was able to do everything to frame the wall and everything, but now the windows is not working. And I did not submit. That's the only checkpoint I have not submitted because it's just
what
not
you mean,
working.
3? Checkpoint 3?
Yeah, the last week checkpoint I did not submit that one. That's the only checkpoint I have not submitted.
No, but remember that checkpoint isn't due yet. You still have 2 more because the checkpoint 3 includes the walls for the walls, the roof, railings and stairs. So it's pretty much, so we're going to run through those today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, also the activity last week I didn't submit it. So that I know for a fact that those are, well, the activity from last week is the only thing I have not submitted.
Okay,
but
cool.
Other
cool.
than that,
cool.
I have submitted everything so far.
Cool. That's great. And
yeah, I have issues with the windows.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll take a look and then we're going to do more windows today. All right. So, what's happening in studio? You guys? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you said okay. Yeah. Where are you guys now in studio? Have you guys started to work out your brief? You got your brief already for your final project?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. And I'm going to assume probably most of you would probably be using Revit. Generally, let me get one or two representative. How is your confidence level with using Revit to do your main production in your final project?
Sir, the level there, but it not there, if you get what we're saying. You get me? Because some of our ideas still not curated enough to a level of our capabilities.
All right, I get you. Is it, hold on, or is it the other way around? Is it that your capabilities in Revit is not at the level of your ideas? Is it that way you want? Yeah. Okay, I get you. Yeah. Well, we have about maybe 2 more class activities. We'll probably do them in the next couple of weeks, where pretty much we will be looking at some of the things tools that you will actually be using for your studio project if you plan to use Revit. And I think it will really help a lot. But we need to finish our building today. That's the thing about this journey. It continues next semester as well. And next semester we're going to be doing BIM. And the difference with BIM and 3D modeling is that 3D modeling is mainly about modeling and rendering, turning an idea into sketch and turning a sketch into a model. We don't really follow the rules of BIM. And notice we don't even generate any drawings. Drawings is not needed for this module because the focus is on the modeling. How can you stretch the limits of modeling? And we're using Revit for this, right? In the past, we used to use other software, but this course focuses on modeling. Next semester, BIM, building information modeling now, it won't focus on modeling like this. It will focus more on drawing production using BIM. So, we are going to be learning a little bit more about putting the drawing on sheets and all of that stuff. You kind of had a taste of it in second year when you did 2D documentation for architects or 2D CAD. But in that case, you were kind of given a model and you detail it. But BIM now, you create your model from scratch and you detail it and everything. So the rest of your Revit journey is still out there to be taken. So it's okay if you feel like you don't know everything because we're not really at the end of the journey yet. And guess what? When you guys, after the BIM module, we won't be doing BIM anymore. or Revit anymore. And basically that's where your journey begins, because I'm still learning new stuff about Revit every day. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't even know if the developers of Revit know all the features of Revit. It's crazy. So much stuff. Anyway. All right, cool. Right. So I just wanted to track where you also are in your. So you guys have a interim coming up. When is your interim? I don't have a date.
I should think the 28th.
Okay, near the end of the month. All right, cool. All right. And then pretty much after interim, you guys are going to be in production mode. Hopefully by the time you reach the interim, you already work out your spaces already, and then it's all about production mode after that. So, all right, cool. By that time, I suspect we would have finished the major project, so that is one weight kind of lifted off of your shoulder, and we're going to be just just rendering by that time. All right. So today we're going to be continuing with the upper floor, right? So far, I see not a lot of people that have submitted checkpoint, right? Maybe a little less than 50% of the class, so I'm a little concerned about that, because you would have had to maybe you submitted after I marked, I don't know, because I marked this a while back, but I'm concerned about the submissions, because this checkpoint 3 now is the main. Remember, this is 50% of the grade, guys. So this is make or break for this module. All right. So I need most of you. I'm going to say most of you to catch up with me, right? And even though, like, I know that balancing studio is there, and studio is a thing. But this is why we kind of have this checkpoint kind of system, rather than me giving you this big old project and say, yeah man, just give me by the end of the semester. We have these checkpoints, and if you are where I'm at when we come to class, you should be good to go. All right. Most people started off good with checkpoint 1, but I noticed the curve is dropping off at checkpoint 2, right? Okay, another announcement is next week is going to be a holiday, right guys? So we're not going to have class next week, but by the end of this class, you should have everything you need to complete checkpoint 3. All right. So remember, you can check the website to see when checkpoint 3 is due. Right. Let's bring it up here. And if I look here, so checkpoint 1, that's already gone. Checkpoint 2. So checkpoint 3, which is here, is going to be due. This is October 25. Today is October 13. Next week is going to be October 20. And that will be Heroes Day. And this is going to be October 25. We're going to have a class on the 27th, which is going to be the day before. You said probably the 28th you'll have your final crit? Right, guys?
Yes, sir. Interim kit, yes, sir.
All right. So tell you what. So if you follow where I'm at this class, you can be done with checkpoint 3 before next week. Like you can actually be done. Like next week we don't have a class, but technically we don't need a class to finish checkpoint 3, right? We're just going to do everything in this class. And if you are where I'm at, you can be done. So it's not like you'll be carrying this burden of checkpoint 3. I'm going to be worried about that class on the 27th because I know that some of you will be MIA for that studio. Let me see, do we have a presentation on that day? Yeah, we have 9 and 10. We have the last 2 topics on the 27th. Right? So what I'm suggesting, guys, is let us try and finish off checkpoint 3 so that you can be in the clear before your possible interim on the 28th. All right. So we should be round about here, most of us. We should have, I know we have different designs, right? And this is just my design. But, you know, and I chose to have 2 different levels. So if you have 1 level, that's fine, right? But this is where we should be at. We should have some windows in. I noticed that even some people had submitted, I don't remember who, but in your sketch, the building was huge. I call 3-4 bedroom. I mean, this is a very small space, guys. It's literally only 1 room, or maybe 2 if you can fit it. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right. So we're gonna work on building the upper floor. Yeah.
I have a quick question. For the doors and windows, how do we get it to basically show on both walls? Do we have to input it twice, or is there a way that you connect the walls or something?
Oh, yes. That we did that in the exercise. So you mean when you insert it, the window in the front, because we have 3 walls here. We have the front, we have the curtain wall that's acting as our stud wall, and then we have the inside cladding. So you're saying, how do you get it to cut the inside cladding?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, man, that's easy. And I think Sarta was saying that she had a similar thing.
Sir, I cannot place the windows in the wall. I don't know why. I was trying to follow your tutorial, but I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
Don't know why. Revit kept saying there's an error, and I kept trying to fix the error. So
right.
I am not sure.
All right. So if I delete these walls now, basic wall cladding. All right. So I have a outside cladding right there. Did I group this? No. Okay. Come on. Reset outline. There we go. Yes, delete. Reset. Right. So this is pretty much what you would probably have. There we go. Thought I had two. Did not. All right, there we go. And I'm going to place this space here, and I'm going to place this space here. Right, so you should have something like this, where we have a curtain wall, remember we use that curtain wall for that wall, and then we have the outer and the inner. Now, for me to show you this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just peel this back a little bit. Okay, right. So for the curtain wall, how you cut the opening in the curtain wall is that we edit the wall profile. So when you choose wall profile, see I get a profile for this curtain wall here. So if I edit this profile, meaning when this line comes around, if it goes up and around and down, then I need to delete this part in here. So I'm going to use a trim tool and cut this. So this now becomes the profile of that curtain wall. So I say, okay. So that's how I get the cut here. Then as for putting in windows and doors, it's the same thing. In this case, if I wanted to put in a door, when I insert the door, it's only going to insert in one of these, in either the front cladding or the back cladding. So let me put in a door here. I have two surfaces here.
So you place it in the wall first, because I was actually placing it in the curtain walls.
No, you place them in the wall first. Sorry, I had two walls pasted together here. Let me check this one too. This is one, good. That's why it was looking like that. So when I place the door in like that, it's only placed in the front wall. So let me cover up this back wall here. So it's not going to cut the back wall, only the front wall. You understand? Now, in order for it to cut the back wall, yes, I could edit the wall profile of the back wall, right? And cut out a profile like this. But a much shorter way is that what I would do is I would go to modify and select join. Then click the front wall and say that I want to join it to the back wall. And what that will do is basically mirror whatever is happening in the front wall in the back wall. So if I move my door, it moves the cutout of the back wall automatically, right? So that's how I cut all of these doors and windows in.
So you just join the walls then, and that's
it. You use the join tool. That is a very nice, tricky tool that a lot of us forget about, even me sometimes. But yeah, in Revit, when you join an object together, it's not really joined like from a modeling standpoint. It is kind of joined from a meta standpoint. So even though these two walls are not touching, even though I can still click on this wall versus that wall, they're still joined. So that would mean that if I do something to one wall, the other wall will be affected too. Right? And
okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Third question. If I changed my design, just well, not even just that tad, because I remember you had even said to like simplify it a bit more. Yeah, so.
Yeah, man, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You guys, you can edit it. This module is not about design, or I'm not going to compare like the design to the CAD drawing and then mark it down because I did that. Like, it must be the same building. Like, if you're going to change it significantly, sure, let me know. But the focus of this module is knowing how to use Revit to model, right? Like how we built the bench, like how we find out how we can build these walls with stuff in there, how we can cut, join, levels, steer. The focus is on modeling. Not so much design and not so much drawing documentation, right? Because when you're using Revit, it's all about modeling. Like if you don't know how to model, you're not going to be able to produce construction drawings in Revit, and that is a big difference. For people who use CAD, traditional CAD, you didn't have to know how to model. You just had to know, how do I represent this? When I cut a section, what am I looking at? Oh, I'm cutting through the steel, I'm cutting through the concrete, I have to show the earth. Like you have to have that knowledge. And then you have to know how to draw lines and stuff like that. When you're doing that in a BIM environment, like with Revit, you have to know that, plus you have to know how to model, right? So this module just focus on modeling primarily, and then next semester now we're gonna put it all together where you have to do proper drawings but also proper modeling. All right, okay guys, so what we're gonna push forward now. Again, remember what I'm going to be showing you my experience with my design, which is going to be a little different from your experience with your design, but we should all have the same major components: 2 floors, a deck, timber walls. That means you're going to have an upper floor and a roof. So just if you follow along, you should be fine. And even if what I do don't relate to you, you need to take from it what relates to your model. And then we meet again and we can talk about any challenges that you will have. So let us dive into continuing our journey.
And our foundation and our site. Next, we need to start to work on the upper floor. So if we take a look on our schematic sketch that we had here originally, so we want to create this element here, which is kind of like a overhang, a partial overhang. So we need to add that in, and then we need to add the deck up top, and then go up with our walls up to our all right. Okay, so heading back to our view now. Now let's see if we can kind of sketch out our objective that we have here, right? So we know that we want that there is an element that comes over here like this. So we do have an element that does something like this, I think. All right, so there's a little overhang there that we had in our sketch. Then the upper floor actually comes all the way out here, perhaps something like that, where it is then mounted to another post that's out here. So this would be our deck here. Then these walls would come straight up. We should have a little space on this side here. And then we should have, this is the balcony. Then we should have a kind of a shed roof that goes up like this. And then it is mounted like here. I know this sketch is probably getting a little confusing, but that's the basic idea that we are aiming for. All right. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and we will paste it with the rest of our notes here. We'll paste it right beside our previous sketch that we did last time. All right. Okay. So first let us see if we can get this element here. All right. So to get this element here, it's really this wall that extends all the way down and then it meets up with this wall here. That's really what's happening. So I'll do a shift copy, a alignment, and I'll do another alignment here. Now, of course, we don't want this. We want the wall to actually cut up this side like that. So we are going to use the edit profile and we are going to draw a profile like that. I'm going to trim this up here. All right, so you can see this is the profile of the wall. It does that. All right, so we're going to choose OK. There we go. So we need to do the same thing for this side now. So we need to go to the wall and go to edit profile. Let's align these together. There we go. No. So now
if you're talking to us, Brian, we're not hearing you.
Oh, geez, MP. Sorry. Sorry. Right. So I was saying that when you're using the edit profile, to use it, don't depend on it 100% of the time. So, for example, if I like how I wanted a space cut out of here, it would. Where is it? Here. Right. It would not be efficient for me to draw a wall down here, then draw another wall here, and draw another wall up here. Like that not going to be efficient at all. At the same time, if I try to use my right, if I tried to use my where is it? My wall opening tool. The wall opening tool doesn't allow me to cut all the way to the edge of a material. Like my wall opening tool allow me to cut inside of a wall and have an opening in a wall. But if I wanted to cut all the way to the edge, the wall opening tool will give me an error. It will going to say that, oh, it's fall outside the wall. So in that case, this is when I would lean on using a profile to do that. But when you use the profile, like if you still need to edit the wall afterwards, so if I need to carry the wall down here, it's going to keep the profile in place for the most part and then allow you to edit the wall. You can still move it around and all of that. So anyway, I'm just saying, guys, don't forget that you see me using the edit profile tool a lot. Right? But I would say you move up the rank. If you need an opening in a wall, use, as a matter of fact, the first opening I would use is going to be a door opening. You can use a door opening, or you can use a wall opening, or you can use a edit profile. But take them in that order. All right? Because when you use the edit profile, it stays in one place. If this was a door and I wanted to move the wall with the door in there, it wouldn't move. The wall would just move and the opening would stay in place.
This wall here. So what we can do is we can actually connect these walls here like that. And then we're going to edit the profile of those walls. All right. Choose OK. We do have an overlap, or maybe it's not touching. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So we finished that part. Now we need to do this part. So we're going to do the same thing. Add a wall profile. All right. So now we have this element here. So we can pretty much now do our floor slab on top. Now we plan to have the stair in this corner here. So maybe we'll go up and then bend a corner to go up the stairs. So we'll just keep that in mind for later. Now, before we draw the floor slab, we want to take a look on how the construction of the slab works, right? So if we look at this section here, we can see, right, so we can see that here is our stud wall that we have below, and how it works is that we have these wall plate, in this case it's a double wall plate, and then you have the floor that's sitting on this wall plate here, and then we have kind of like the outer covering here. So we have this outer member here, and then we have the floor joist pretty much sitting on top of the bottom wall, and then we can mount our walls to the floor of this, which will sit on top of this floor joist here. So this is what we want to use. We want to use this concept, and this is kind of what it would look like in 3D. Now, if you remember our last conversation where we spoke about the different detail levels, now we're kind of going for this one, meaning that we don't need to construct every single timber member that would structurally make up this floor. Instead, we're going to just summarize it, and we're only going to put in the major elements here. So with that said, let's continue. All right. Now, if you take a look at what is happening for the floor system here, you can see where you have these major floor joists that's running along, and then you have this covering that sits on top of these floor joists that you see here. And then now you have the next upper floor walls that's sitting on top of the finished flooring. So this is how we're going to construct it. So we're going to put these main floor joists in 3D, but we're not going to put all of these individual pieces of timber here. We're just going to summarize our 3D model into only having the major elements. Remember, we spoke about that. So in some cases, we might need to have modeled all of these members individually, but rarely. Usually what you do, you kind of average it, and then if you need to create construction drawings, you cut a section and then you detail the members individually. So we will not be modeling every single member here, only the main floor joist that you see here. All right, so now what that would look like for us is that we would have main floor joist members running something like this. As a matter of fact, we might run it the other way actually. So we'll run it this way, and this is just a rough sketch, so just to give you a visual idea of what we'll be doing for these floor members here. And then we'll have a timber stud here that it is mounted to. All right, so that's the general idea. All right, now to get this done, we're actually going to use some tools from the structural section, right? So we are going to, now to do this, let's take a look on the levels that we have. So if I go to my elevation view, I'm going to maybe go to the east elevation. I'm going to hide my site plan again. So I'm going to right click and choose hide elements. There we go. All right, let's see. Okay, let's use this view. Okay. Okay, so let's hide that. Okay, so now that we have just the building alone, we want to be creating those members on the second floor. Now, these members are actually going to sit on top of this floor here. So what we need to do is we need to create another level. So we're going to duplicate this, copy. I'm going to make it 6 inches, and then I'm going to unlock this here so I can make this one shorter. And this level here will be top of floor joist. So my floor joist is going to be running in this direction. Now, in order to put in the floor joist, we are going to use what's called a beam system, and that can only be done from a plan or 3D view. So I'm going to go to my level 2 view and level 2 floor plan. Again, I'm going to hide this site plan because I don't need it now. So I'm looking on the I'm looking at the floor below. That's why it's grayed out. And I'm going to head over to structure, beam system. And if I look in the settings for beam systems, you will notice I'm going to put this on the other side. There we go. So we can get some more space over here. So if you notice, you see the rules. It's going to lay out the beams at a fixed distance, and this is going to be the distance between the beams. So maybe we could do 900 millimeters, so about 3 foot between the beams. It's floor joist, so maybe it would be closer, so maybe 600. It's going to be using a 2x6, which is fine. All right, and it is going to be on, we need to choose what level they will be on. Now we can always draw the structural members first, and then we can put it on a level. Now if we look at the top, you'll see where it says automatic beam system or sketch beam system. So we're going to go to sketch beam system. When we go there, you can see that it's going to put it on level 2. Actually, we don't want it on level 2. We want it to go on the level that says top of floor joist. So we're going to go to set work plane, and we're going to use the level that says top of floor joist as the level for the beam system. Okay, so now all we have to do is to draw our beam system. So I'm going to start from here. I'm going to draw a rectangle like that, and I'm probably going to make it go maybe to here. Maybe it will be wider. We will see if we'll make it wider. Now these two lines that you see here gives an idea of the directions of the beam. So this means that the beams, these two lines that you see here, means that the beams will be running in this way. All right, so we're going to choose OK. All right, and our beams are now generated. Now right now the beams are represented as these lines. And that's because we are using a coarse display, or basically low detail mode. So we can put it to high detail, and then we'll actually see the beams. Now we're actually also seeing the labels for the beams as well. Now if we click on one of these members here, you will see that it says that it is a framing tag. And a tag simply means that it is a annotation. So for example, I can just delete these tags, and a tag is something. So for example, if I go to annotate, you will see there is a tag that's here. And basically a tag is, you can pretty much just tag anything that you click on. So for example, if I hover back on the beam here, it will create back this tag. If I hover over this wall, it will create a wall tag, and any member that you hover over, it will create a actual tag. So let me undo that. So that is what this is. These are just tags. So I'm going to just select all in view and just delete that, because we don't need to have the tags for what we're doing. Okay, so let's look at this in 3D. So you can see that is our beam system there, right? And what we may do is we may extend these posts to maybe use it as a mount for these posts here. We'll investigate that a little later. All right, so yes, so we have our system, our floor joist system there. Now we are going to cut a hole here for the stairs later on, but that will not be an issue, because remember we used a beam system, so we don't have to manually adjust each of these beams. We can simply just edit the beam sketch that we drew, and we can actually just put a space in here. We can trim this like that, choose OK, and there you go. So now we have a hole that we can work out later for the stairs. And this is the beauty of using the beam system, is because it will automatically be generated when we use it. Okay, so now we're going to put the floor on top. So we're just going to undo this last move here, because we're not going to put in the stairs just yet. We can always cut that hole later on. We know the general area for the stairs, so we will refine that as we go on. Now to put on the slab here, we're just going to put a floor slab on top of this. So to do that, well, we can actually go to our side view here. Actually, this is a little lower, so we're actually going to move that down like that, and we're going to create another level. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to call this FFL for finished floor level. Oops, we're going to maybe copy it about 2 inches, and we are going to just break it out so that we can see what we're doing. There we go. And we're going to call this finished floor level. So this is where our slab is going to go. for the upper floor. So let's go to a floor plan view, preferably. This is our level 2 plan. So we're gonna go to architecture, create floors, and right now this is a 12-inch floor, so we are looking for a 2-inch floor. Here we go, floor finish 2-inch. All right, and we're just going to use the box, and we're going to draw our floor finish pretty much inside like this. We do need to set the level, so we're going to make the level be FFL, floor finish level, and choose OK. All right, let's look on that in 3D. All right, there we go. So now we have our floor finish that's sitting on top, and then we have our floor joist that is sitting below. Now, in my case, I do want my deck to go out a bit more to match my sketch, because in my initial sketch and also in my schematic design, I had it where my balcony was pretty much going way over to a greater overhang. So I'm going to edit the sketch here, and I'm going to extend it by, I'm going to move this by another, let's make it 900. Yeah, it's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for my beam system. So notice I can select the individual beams. So for example, if I really wanted to, like this, if I really wanted to extend, if I really wanted to place this beam at the very end, I can use tab to tab into just a single beam, and I can actually align it. Oh, right now it's locked actually, so I would have to unpin it. There we go. And now I'm able to move that beam individually. But the great thing is that it is still a part of the beam system. So let me unlock that, and I'll use my align tool and just align it like that. Now I'll go into the beam system, and I'll go to edit boundary. There we go. Choose OK. Oh, because I unlocked this one, so now this one is all manual, but that's okay. I can just extend it. All right. So now pretty much I will have another column. So I'm gonna align this with this edge here. Okay. What I should actually do is just copy all of this, and then I could use a view. If I can't see below, I could go to my options for the view, and I could say for underlay, I could say let me see all the way down to bottom of foundation. So that would allow me to see all of these. Now, notice that I still can't edit this from this view. I can actually overwrite that by going down here and saying, allow me to select, let's see, underlay elements. So I turn that off, and now I'm able to select these guys. There we go. Okay, this goes all the way to the edge in here. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna copy this to the other side. There we go. And I'll turn that back. Let's go back to the 3D view now. All right, great. So now all I need to do is to set this column, is to set the top level to be finished floor, and same thing for this. All right, so now I have my members here. Now I do think this column needs to be much thicker based on how high it's going, so we're gonna have to edit that as we go on. Okay, so now we're ready to continue with our walls. Now with the walls, it's pretty much the same formula as the ground floor, where we just carry the walls using the frames. So we could actually select, I'll just select these two walls for now, and I will go to copy, and then I can actually go to paste, align to selected levels, and I can now paste this the finished floor level. There we go. So now we have pasted them. All right, so now we just need to continue. Now this wall here on this side is going to be aligned with here actually, so I'll use a top view, and I will copy this over here. I will paste it in the center. Oops, meant to paste this in the center like that. Let's go back to 3D view. There we go. Then we're gonna cut this down. Come on, there. And we do the same thing for this wall. Let's go to a floor plan. We can turn off the underlay and set the underlay to go to, let's go to level 1 lower. There we go. So now it doesn't look so confusing, and we can copy this there. All right, so we pretty much have our upper floor walls done, and then we're going to have the balcony that is going to be around this edge here. Now, we're not going to worry too much about the openings just yet, right? We're going to put in our roof first. So if I go to a side view here, let's see, we can go to this side. Yes. So if we go to this side, actually this is the back. Right. So generally we would want to have a roof that kind of goes like this, and then it would be supported by these columns that are coming all the way from the ground floor, right? And then we would have our balconies that does something like this. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. And then we're gonna work on filling in these areas above where we have the walls, right? Okay, so let's do that. Now, to get our roof, we're actually going to draw the roof, but we're going to use the top floor plan to do this. Now, to do this, we're going to need another level, right? And so we're going to copy another level up. We don't need a floor plan for this level either, so we're just going to copy it because we already have an upper floor, but we need to have another level that we can use for the roof level, right? So I'm going to copy this level here. There we go. And I'll call this top of wall plate, right? Because this would be the top of that wall plate there. And actually these are not on the same height, so we need to fix that. So let's highlight all the walls here, and let's go use the filter option to select only walls. And we're going to make sure that we set the top constraint to top of wall plate, and we're going to put the top offset to 0 because we don't want it to offset from the top. All right, good. So now everything is on one level, I think. Yes, this one is there as well. All right, and let me check yes, everything is there. All right, so now what we need to do is do the roof. So to do that, we're gonna go to a plan view, and this is the level 2 that we are on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to architecture, then we're going to go to roof. And the way that the roof is drawn, it's drawn by sketching. So we're going to sketch the outline of the roof. So we're going to let's start from here. So this is the outline of the roof. So let me do that. When we're drawing the roof, we could actually set offset, which is the overhang. So we could set a 2-foot So now when we draw it, we automatically get a 2-foot overhang like that. All right, so how this works is that we need to now define what the slope is for each one of these edges, because the way how Revit works is, if you can imagine that you had a hip roof. So let's say we had right now, this is creating a hip roof. And the reason that it's doing that is because this symbol defines a slope, which is this slope. So it is saying that, hey, I want this line to slope up. Same thing for here. It's saying I want this line to slope up, and I want this line to slope up, and I want this line to slope up. So when Revit puts all of that together, Revit is going to assume that, oh, if you want all 4 lines to slope upward, then you must want to get a gable roof because they're all going to intersect at one point. So if we want to get a roof that just slopes this way, then what we need to do is to erase these other slopes, and then Revit will know that you want a roof that just slopes using this line as the pivot line and slopes upward. So to do that, we're just going to select each one of these. So we're going to select this and say no slope, select this, no slope, and select this and say no slope. So now the only thing that slopes is this line, and it slopes by 36 degrees. So we're going to put that to 25 maybe. Now the thickness of the roof, we can change that afterwards. So we're going to choose OK. And if we look at our side view, we see that it slopes upward. Of course, it slopes from the top of the ground floor. So we need to change the base level of the roof to top of wall plate. So now it slopes upward. I think this angle is a bit too steep. So let's go to edit. Now, if I go to edit from elevation view, it's going to say, hey, you can't edit the slope of the roof in the elevation view actually. So I need to do that from either a 3D view or a plan view. So I want to change this slope to like 15 degrees. Is okay. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more reasonable. All right. So now what we want to do is to change the thickness of the roof. So we're going to choose, now we have some pre-made roofs here. but we're actually going to put structural members as well. So we are going to choose generic, and we're going to go to edit type, and we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this roof covering, and we're going to go to structure, and we're going to make this 2 inches. Say okay and okay. All right, so now this is 2 inches. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to put the same structural system and attach it to the roof. So to do that, we actually need to, there are a couple ways we can do it. So let's go to 3D view. So we could attach a structural system to the slope of this roof, and that way we can get the beams to slope with the roof. So let's try it that way. All right, so let's see if we can do this in a 3D view. So we're going to go to structure, we're going to go to beam system. Before we go any further, we're going to set a new work plane. And for this work plane, we're going to choose pick a plane, and we are going to pick the underside of this roof like that. So now the beam system is using the underside of the roof. So then I'm going to go to sketch my beam system, and I can actually just sketch on the underside of this roof because I made it the work plane. There we go. And I can see that my beams are going to go this way, and I'm going to use the 2x6. I could also choose a thicker member if I wanted to. I would have to load more lumber in. So for example, if I wanted something apart from a 2x6, I could go to insert and go to load family. Then I would choose structural framing. I think go to wood, structural framing. Let me go back to structural framing under wood. And then I'm looking for dimension lumber. And when you load that, you see these other ones here. So I could do a 2x12. And now that that's loaded, I can change this to 2x12. And the distance is 600. And yeah, so then I'm going to choose yes. And there we go. So we now have our structural members. In this case, it being the roof joist. All right. Now, the next thing we would normally do is we could allow these walls to automatically meet the top of the roof. There are 2 ways we could do that. We could actually use the profile and edit the profile, or we could click on the wall and we can go to attach top or base. So we're going to teach this, and we could just actually choose here, and then it would attach itself to the top of the roof like that. Right, so when it is attached to the roof here, you can see that is what is happening in the background. Now, the thing is, in reality, you would really have one of these members on top of this here, and then this wall plate would be attached to the underside of the one of these roof joists. The thing is, you can't use the attached top or base to a joist. But there is some other things we can do. So we're going to undo that. Now, of course, we could go in and draw our profile, and we could actually draw a wall profile that is to this angle. And I mean, that would be okay. But let's try something else that is new. We're going to use a reference plane. So let's go to our side view here, and we're going to go to the architecture tab, and we're going to say reference plane. And what a reference plane is, it is simply a plane that is referenced. It is a work plane. Think of it as a work plane. So remember how we have work planes. And if we define a work plane, then that becomes the base on which we draw, we work. So a reference plane is like a custom work plane. You can, so for example, I've now drawn a work plane at an angle. So if this were my current work plane now, I could extrude from it, I could draw on top of it, I can do all kind of things with this work. So I can give it a name as well. So I'm going to call this underside of joist. And now what we're going to do is we can actually, so let's go to 3D view here. We can actually select the wall, and we're not going to see the reference plane in 3D. So we'll have to do this perhaps from a 2D view. Let's go back to our 2D view. Right. So we're going to say attach, and then we're going to choose this reference plane. So now I'm getting this message because it's saying that remember that this wall is we have edited the profile of this wall. So it's just telling us that some of the elements in here might be deleted because of the profile. All right, so let's attach the other wall now. So I'm using tab, that's this wall. Attach the reference plane. All right, so if we go to 3D now, there we go. Now, of course, we would adjust these members to line up with that. Before we do that, let's just adjust this one here. Just drag this up and snap it to here. All right, now what we could do is we could select this member here and we could unpin it. That's one option. So we could unpin it. Let's see if we can copy it. Yeah, but if we're gonna copy it, we probably would have to do it from a top view. That would be best. So we could just do it in 3D view. We could go to top view and go to wireframe. Maybe this would be too confusing. So we could actually hide the roof and see, now we're able to see the top. So this is the one here. So we already unpinned it and we can actually copy this here and I can copy it. Okay, let's look back in 3D view now. Oh, we are in 3D view. All right, so you can see where I made a copy of that one to be sitting on top right there. It's actually 3 members that I placed here. So maybe we could get rid of this one. All right, so we're gonna go to the unhide tool, which is down here. And we're gonna unhide this roof, unhide. There we go. Now, additionally for the roof structure, we normally have some lats that are running the opposite way as well. Now, to do that, we can actually just duplicate this system to create that one. So I can find the beam system. I'm pressing tab, there it is. Then I'm going to choose copy, and then I'm going to choose paste to same place. So now I have 2 exact beam systems on top of each other, but now I'm going to go to edit boundary and I'm going to say define beam direction to go this way instead of that way. And then I choose OK. And now you can see I have a set of beams running the opposite way. Now, obviously, we don't want to use the same size beams. So we're going to have to go to insert family, low dimension lumber, and I see 2x3 is the smallest one, and choose OK. All right, so for this beam system, we are going to change that to 2x3, and you can see this is much smaller. Now, this could be how it is built, because we could cut notches out of this timber here, but usually it sits on top of this member that's here. So to do that, right now this is attached to the underside of this roof member here. So we would need to attach the beam system to some reference planes. So we're going to use the same reference plane concept as before. So we're going to go to architecture. Let's save. Now, one important point to note is that reference planes can be used pretty much interchangeable as levels, but one of the differences is that reference planes, you can have them at an angle, whereas levels you can't. So that's just a quick pointer. Now I can go to create reference plane and I can draw a reference plane here like that. And I can name this beam roof joist reference. I could copy this again. Now what's the distance here? And I could name this reference plane lath reference plane. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to find out this height here. So this is 64 millimeters or 3 inches, right? So I actually want to go the opposite way, really. I want this to be 3 inches away from this. So now I can select this. I can select the beam system for, can I do that? I can't do that from a side view. I need to do that from a plan view. So let's select the beam system for the floor joist. And we're going to say edit work plane. And we're going to say not pick a plane because we can't see the reference plane. So we're going to choose edit work plane. And we're going to attach this to roof joints reference plane, which it won't move. It shouldn't move. But then we're going to go to the beam system for the lath. And we're going to go to edit work plane. And we're going to say put that to lath reference plane. And now see that now sits on top. Actually, I need to edit that some more. So let's go to the side view to change this. Right. So we can actually move the reference plane and it will move here. So for a dimension, this should actually be 64 millimeters. There we go. Then we can actually move the roof to this reference. All right. Now I think what's happening here is that we had one of the members still attached to the let's see these guys here. So we want to attach, we want to attach this one to roof joist reference plane. There we go. All right. So now you can see that we still have these ones here because we actually broke the link off with these. So let's remove them for now. Right. And I think we actually had, so this is using the beam system to get these members on. Okay. So now we can actually fix this beam system because we kind of messed with it by clicking on it and going to edit boundary and then choose reset system. So now it will create back all of those members that we edited earlier.
All right, guys. So you see, a lot of discussion here about the roof members, and all of us will have different roofs. I chose to put in the lath and the roof joist and the covering because each one of us has different designs. So I kind of chose the most complicated way so that you can just take from it whatever applies to how you want to do your design. But remember, the roof cannot be a slab, right? It has to be a timber roof. So you do at minimum have to have roof joists. You don't have to put it at an angle. You don't have to use a hip or a gable roof, but you do have to show some kind of roof structure, you know, to get the full marks. Right, Marvin?
Right.
All right, cool. I know the roof thing can be a little bit tricky, but it's something that you have to learn. Like, you know, it's one of those features that Revit has. And if you're not doing timber construction, it don't matter. But at some point in the future, I'm telling you, you're going to have to be drawing some kind of roof in Revit. And this is kind of what introduces you to that. All right?
Another member that runs the same way at the back. And then that would be responsible for mounting this entire roof system. So we need to get those in because even at the moment now, even though this is a schematic design, it doesn't structurally read correctly because this is not how the roof would be able to stand like this. So we need to create two beams, and to create a beam is fairly simple. Now we're just going to draw it and then revise it. So we're just going to go to a top view and we're going to go to systems, structure. We're going to go to beam. We're going to choose dimension lumber. And we're going to choose that 2x12 and we're just going to draw a 2x12. We're going to start from here to here. All right. Now remember, we're not seeing it because it is probably, let me undo that. Right. So let me go again to draw. But I need to determine what level I am on. So right now it is going to be on the level 1 upper, but I need this to be at the top of wall plate. There you go. All right. Now it is actually there. If I go to 3D view, I should see it. Let's see if we can locate it. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, there we go. That's what we're supposed to see. Right. So, okay, so what I want to do is to draw it here, but I think when I draw it there, it is actually attaching to something. That's the problem. So, right, here it is. So let me delete this. So what I need to do now is this was supposed to be I need to go to edit work plane, and I need it to be the top of wall plate level. Okay, so there we go. So now it is at the top of wall plate level, which is right here, if you remember. So if we go to the side view now, and let's go to full detail view so we can see. So ideally, now we could attach it, we could make a reference plane at this point right here. Yeah, maybe that would be a good option. Or we could use a level as well. I think in this case anyone will work. So let me copy a level and put that level right here. And I could call this level wall plate for upper shed support. That's a very long name. All right, good. So now I can go to edit work plane and I can say, put it to that work plane, which is up here. And then I can align it to this edge right here. And I'm thinking that there should probably be 2 of them because it's holding up that massive roof. There we go. So let's go to a 3D view. All right. And that's, remember there, this is a 2x6. I want to change it to 2x12, so it's very big. Then I want to also extend it to, I'll just use align. And then now this member here should really be aligned to underneath here. There we go, like that. So we'd probably need another one of these members up here. And then we'll need another one down here actually. So let's use the side view here. I think I want to copy this again. And this time I'm going to stick it down here. And then I'm going to name this one. Yes, I know this name is already there. I'm going to name this one wall plate for lower shed support. Good. And then I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste, align to selected levels, and align it to here. So it should paste here. And I'll just align it over here. All right. So now I have a member that is here. There we go. We have a member that is here and a member that is up here. All right. So now we can deal with the openings, which is the simpler part. So the openings are the same business as usual. We do want to have an opening here. So yes, I'm going to go to edit wall profile and I'm going to draw it like this. 1 second. I think I messed this up. Let's do this again. Right. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Actually, we do need to have a column here in this area. So we could just edit the wall plate, sorry, the profiles appropriately. I'm going to copy this 4 inches. The same for this side. All right. All right. So now it's just a matter of putting back the wall coverings to cover these areas here. We could do this from a plan view, but I think I'm going to just copy this because it already has the windows from the previous plans. Now, I can do one of 2 things. I could use elevation view, or I could say copy and paste align to selected levels, and I could paste it to the finished floor level. There we go. Not exactly, but that's okay. So I would need to go to reset profile. There we go. Right. And I would also need to go to this and delete this because we don't have a window here anymore. We just have these 2 windows. So I'm going to remove the base offset. That's good. Then move these windows down. Now we need to do the same thing for here. Or we could actually copy this. So I'm going to mirror it. Let me see what my work plane is. That's the problem. My work plane is there. So I need to change my work plane. I'm going to change my work plane to finished floor level. Yeah, if you ever get in trouble mirroring something, it's probably because the work plane is not aligned properly. So here we go, mirror. There we go. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for this one. We're going to copy it and we're going to paste align to selected levels. Oops, maybe I didn't do that right. Copy. There we go. Then we're going to remove the base offset, and we could actually use the arrow keys to move this window. So that's a neat trick. And then we're just going to mirror this for the front. For this, we're going to do the same thing here where we attach, and we need to do this in an elevation view. So we're going to select this one here and say attach to reference plane. Oops, there we go. Attach at this side. We're going to do the same thing. Yes, we also need to get some openings up top, but we can look on that a little later. And oops, we're just trimming these corners. Okay, now we need to edit the profile, or we could have inserted an opening as well, but think the profile is the easiest thing to edit here because we can see the opening behind. Okay, and we're just gonna edit this one as well. All right, so if we go to our shaded view and let us unhide this site. All right, so this is where we are now. So we've now added the upper floor walls. We've added the slab. So next we will have the stairs and the railings. So, and we can actually tidy up these parts here by increasing the height. We'll have to change the profile if we want to change this one here, but that's okay. This, I think I like that effect. All right. So this is where we are now. Well, these members are supposed to go all the way up to the top actually, and we're supposed to use larger members for these here. So if we go to the side, we could, I believe, can we extend it to the, yeah, we can actually extend it to the reference plane. So plate for upper. Oh wait, let's do that again. Let's do both, and we want to set the upper level to wall plate for upper support. It's up here, but we need it to go higher. So we could go a top offset of about 1 foot, make that 2.5. There we go. Then we also need to use bigger members for these. So this was a 6" by 6". So I would go to duplicate and I would make maybe 10" by 10". So I would need to go to here and I need to make that 10 inches. 10 inches. Okay, so now this is much thicker. All right. Okay, so we are making some progress. Okay, so next we'll deal with the railings and the stair, and then we probably have to deal with the interior as it relates to the, we need to have a stair on the inside as well, and we need to have a little wall here so we don't drop in between those spaces that is here. All right, so it's looking a bit similar. Maybe there are some things that we ended up changing from the schematic design, but that's okay. Okay, so that is where we are at currently.
All right, guys. So, most of us should be. That is where I want us to be. At least by this week. Now, is there anybody that has their ground floor finished already? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what I did was went ahead and did the upper. Now, usually, what we would do is I would kind of leave it like this, and then you guys would work on it. But we need to push it a bit further for this class because we don't have a class next week, right? So I am going to go into adding the railings so that you can have that part of this class recording to work on to finish your building. All right, guys. So I know that some of you're still, remember guys, as I said, work on the model while you're in class. That way you don't have to deal with it as an assignment, right? So at the end of this week, ideally at the end of this week, this is where you should be at. You should have the upper floor and the roof. If we did have a class next week Monday, then you should have your stairs. And then you're done. That's literally what is left on this, well, at least on my model, which I think is a little bit more on the complex side. I would suggest for you not to make anything more complex than my model for the time being, preferably. All right. All right. So, so we're going to use the rest of the time to go into the adding the stairs and the railings. As I said, because I need you to have this part for next week.
Now we want to look into adding some stairs and railings. So the general idea is that we want to add railings along here. Then we want to add a stairs, so we'd have the railings going up the stairs, and maybe like this. Perhaps we might add the railing here, and then we will add another stairs down that goes down towards the terrain there. And we'll definitely add some railings along these points here. So we will definitely add the stairs along here. All right. Let's take a screenshot of that. All right. Now that we have that done, we also will need to create a stairs on the inside that will be here as well. All right. So let's start with the stairs. Now the stair tool in Revit is fairly straightforward.
What's the question?
What's the upper floor supposed to be again?
In terms of the height?
No, like the use of space.
It's supposed to be a lookout. So
okay.
Right. So just balcony and roof.
Okay.
And you can design it however
you want. Do we need like walls and stuff up there?
I mean, it's up to you. But it can't be fully enclosed, because the whole objective of this is you're creating a kind of a lookout tower.
Yeah, so I was thinking open like for the upstairs per se.
That's fine. So you could just have columns. You could just have 4 posts and it's open. Okay. For me, I chose to wall up at least 70% height, and then have a lot of windows. So.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, whatever your design has. Alright. As I say, guys, I am going to move ahead into stairs and railing, because we would have done that next week, but we don't have class next week, so we're just going to cram it all in today so that you will have this recording to work on. Alright? To work from.
I'm going to go to a top view here. Now, when I go to this top view, notice that I have my terrain and everything there. Now, now it might be a little tricky. Let me switch this to hidden line. It might be a little tricky to have all of the terrain along with your building in. So a good idea would be to create a group. So I'm going to select the terrain here. So I've selected my terrain and my trees, and I'm going to go up here under modify to group. Okay, it's just telling me that some elements will not be grouped. All right, so I'm going to call this terrain. So now I can easily select my terrain and trees, and I can just hide that. Now I also have a sketch that I have been using. If I move it here, you'll see that I have this sketch here. This is what we used initially to determine what the shape of these areas will be. I don't need this sketch anymore, so I'm going to just delete that. All right. So this is essentially my floor plan that I'm looking at, and this is the level 1. Now, as for my level 2, if I open that plan now, I'm actually looking at the level 2, but I do have underlay, which is here, enabled. So I'm going to disable that because I don't want to see what's below. I just want to see the upper floor. So this is exactly what the upper floor is. And this is that opening that's there along with the windows. And we are going to cut out perhaps an area here, and we will investigate putting a spiral stairs perhaps in this area here that will come up from below to come upstairs. All right. Okay, so let's head on to the ground floor. Now the first stairs we want to add is going to be the stairs here, right? That will take us from the level 1 upper to the level 1 lower. Now to access the stairs tool, we want to be in architecture, and then we're going to go over to stairs. Now when you're using the stairs tool in Revit, right here we can actually see a list of the different stairs that's available. Now one of the most popular ones is going to be the first one, which is a straight stair, and then we see spiral stair, curved stair, L shape, U shape, and then This one here is a custom stair tool. So if we want to get a stairs that is non-traditional, we will use that tool. Now, in terms of what we want to achieve, we want to have a stairs here. So we could just use the straight stairs to do this. So we're going to do that now. We're going to click stairs, the straight stairs. Now, right away, when you see that's highlighted over here on your properties panel, notice that this is asking us what is our base level and what is our top level. Our base level is going to be level 1 lower, and our top level, which is the top of where the stairs, where we want the stairs to go, that is going to be level 1 upper. In addition to that, before we actually start drawing the stairs, we are going to choose the type of stairs. So if we click this drop down here, you will see that we have 3 types. We have cast in place stairs, precast stair, and assembled stair. Now we're going to use the assembled. We're not going to use the metal one, but we're going to use this one here, which is really a timber assembled stairs. Assembled stairs simply means that it is put together versus the cast in place and precast, which means that it is pretty much like poured concrete, so it does act as like a single solid stairs. Because we have existing timber members, we're going to choose a assembled stair. All right, now before we draw the stairs, we're going to actually go to railing, and we are going to say no railings because we're not ready to do the railings yet. So we're going to choose OK. So that is no railings, and we can see that we have the width of the stairs, but we will edit that after we draw. So now, whenever you draw a stairs, you always draw from the lower to the upper. So I'm going to just click in the middle of this space here, and this is going to be my lower deck, and I'm going to drag towards my upper. Now notice, while I'm dragging, this says number of risers created. So you can see the number of risers there, 4. And basically this is Revit doing the calculation to tell us that you're going to need 4 risers to get from the lower level to the upper level. So notice it's not creating any more risers apart from the 4. So we're going to just click that. So now we have our stairs, and then we're going to click the OK button here. All right. Now, if we look at that in 3D, this is the stairs that we see there. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to modify the stairs a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is, well, we can actually, if we don't want to end the stairs with a riser, we could actually end it with a tread. We want to edit the stringers, that's the elements on the side. So to make those modifications to the stairs, we need to click on the stairs, and we're going to choose edit type. These are all the settings for the stairs. So we're going to say to let the stringer, we're going to say let the stringer be carriage for the left and for the right. So we're going to choose apply. So notice we have the carriage that's going to be below like that. Now we can also select. When we select the stairs, we get a set of options for selecting the stairs as an object in our scene, but also we can go to edit stairs, and then we select the stairs again, we get a different set of options. So it's almost like you can select the stairs as an object, and then you can go into the editing of the stairs and then edit it as an editable object. So it's almost like you have 2 levels of editing the stairs. So when you click and go to edit, we're going to choose to end with, we're going to uncheck end with riser, so that we will end the stairs like this. Let's go back to the plan view. So we go to our level 1 view, and we can actually extend the length of the stairs a bit. So we're going to extend the length like so. So back in 3D, maybe this is a bit too tall. Let's go back to level 1. We're going to carry it down a bit. Yes, right. And that takes us to that level there. Now, all we need to do here is we need to extend the boundary of this. So we're going to do a line, choose OK. All right, so now we just need to change the width of the stair. So to do that, we're going to select the stairs. Let's go to plan view. Well, notice we can't change the width here. We need to actually go to edit stairs. Now we can change the width. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now we're also going to copy the stairs. So we're going to select the stairs here, and we are going to go copy and paste the stairs on the inside. And we're also going to extend this. There we go. All right. Now we can actually take a look on what this looks like in 3D. But notice that this is inside. You can kind of see it inside. But a neat little trick that you can do, if you see something in plan, so let's say, for example, you're in plan view and you want to see this stairs, only this stairs in 3D, you can head over to modify with the stairs selected, and you click this button here to show a selection or a section box of the object you clicked. So if I click that, it will just isolate the stairs by itself, which is pretty cool. And I can even go ahead and edit this section box to make it a bit wider, so I see a bit more. There we go. So that is pretty cool. I can always disable this section box by clicking in the empty space, which is clicking on the view, and then turn off section box in my properties here. Now I'm back to everything. All right, so now we have these two stairs here. Now we want to create a stairs along here, and this time around we're going to create a custom stair, right? Just to try out a different option. We also need to create a spiral stair here for upstairs. Now to create a custom stair, let's see if we can plan this out. For our custom stair, we're going to come down and then we're going to take a curve and then go like this and then go straight. So we're going to go straight, take a curve, and then go straight again. And we will do something like this. Now this stairs is going to be a concrete stairs, and notice that it's going to be very irregular in its shape, right? And this is intentional because we want to investigate to create a custom stair. So this is what we'll do here. All right, now to get started, we're going to go to the stair tool. As a matter of fact, before we go to the stair tool, whenever we're doing a custom stair, it's always a good idea to sketch out our stair first, and then we go to the stair tool. So we're going to start it that way. So we're actually going to sketch out what how we want our shape, our stair to be like. So if we look in 3D here, first thing we need to determine is what are the levels that the stair is going to be at, right? So for example, we have these levels here. We know that we want the stair to come up to this level, and this level is going to be the level 1 upper. But where does the stair meet the ground? We might want to determine a level for that as well, because remember that stairs operates based on a lower and a higher level. So we have to determine a level first. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to use a section box, and I'm going to cut the land kind of like this, maybe like this, where I can see the different levels, maybe like this. And let's use, as a matter of fact, let's use the water level as the lowest level of the stairs. So let's go back in plan view again. Yes. So we're actually going to change our design a little bit. We're going to come like this, and we're going to do a curve. And then angle straight down like that. So we're going to come down to this slab that's going to be down here using this very interesting stair. So it's still going to be an irregular stairs, and we're going to come from this level, which is level 1 upper, and we're going to end at this level, which is going to be our water level. So that's going to be our plan. Now, as I said, to get started, we are going to we're going to sketch the stairs first. So we're going to go to our model line, and we're going to be sketching. Remember, model line is a line that exists in 3D space. So we're going to need to determine what level we're going to draw on. So right now it's set to level 1 lower, which is this level here. But we want this to draw on level 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our work plane to level 1 upper. All right, so now when we go to model line, we are at level 1 upper. All right, so let's start sketching what we want our stairs to be like. So we're going to go from here, and the width of the stairs, we can make it be between these two columns here. Let's make it a definite width. So I'm going to say 1200. Then I'm going to come like this. Then we're going to form a curve. Let's do the other side. Here we go. And we want to curve around, then go down, right? So we're going to draw it. Let's draw it out first. Let's see if we can end right here. We might need to make this longer, I think. So let's go like that. Now the width of the stairs is 1200, so I can do an offset 1200, and I can do a fill for that. So this is basically going to be our stairs. Now, of course, we want this to curve because we're doing a custom stairs here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to model line, and we are going to, in our model line tool, we're going to use our, okay, all right, let's work with a radius. We're going to make a specific radius, 1800. There we go. And then we're going to offset this 1200. So there goes our curve there. So we can trim this up now. All right, so we're going to curve all the way down, and then we're going to hit a landing here and then step down to this level. Maybe we need to come out a bit more, so I'm going to move this out some more because I don't want to end up underneath the building. Hopefully this should be enough. All right, the shortcut for the model line tool is LI. All right, so there we go. Now we need to put in our threads, so we're going to work with 12-inch threads. So we're going to actually start from here. Okay, so we're going to copy 12 inches, and I'm just going to copy this. So what I'm doing, I'm actually sketching out where the threads would be for the stairs. So I'm going to step down here, and then we're going to come around here. So every time we step down, we're going to step down about 6 inches. And if I look at our section here, we have about, here we go. Yes, we're traveling from the level 1 up to the water line. All right, so side elevation. All right, so we are going to go from level 1 upper to the water line, which is this. There we go. So we're going about 10 feet roundabout. All right, so if we're going down by 6 inches, then we're going to need about 20 steps to get from one level to the other. So let's go back to our plan. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So this is going to come a little bit forward like that, because we're going to need about 10 steps. So this should take us there roughly. All right, now we're going to need to divide this space evenly. Now, to divide this curve evenly, what we can do is we can start with a little estimation and then revise it. So first, let's see if we can find the center of this point here. So here it is. If I hover over this line here, it will give me an idea of the center point. And what I can do is I can just do a rough estimate of the amount of risers. The size doesn't really matter. I'm going to divide it evenly afterwards. So let's say I want to divide it into 5 equal parts. Now what I'm going to do is go to my dimension tool, and in annotate, I'm going to choose angular, and I'm going to click each one of these, and it's going to give me the angle between them. And then I'm just going to click the equal button here, and it's just going to make all of them equal, which is exactly what I want. All right, so this one is not exactly 12 inches, but I could decide to move this back to 12 inches. Could put a dimension here. Oh, this is actually 12. Good. So far I have 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So, okay, so we could get a few more here. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, so this should take us from one level to the other, right? And if it doesn't fully take us, we can always edit it afterwards, right? All right, cool. So now what we need to do is go back to architecture and go to the stair tool. All right, so now we have this. Oh, there's one more thing we have to do before we go to the stair tool. We need to draw a center line down here. So we are going to use start from here, draw a center line there, and draw a center line to here, and then to here. So this is going to give us the center line for the stair. We can actually use the offset tool, and we can use the graphical offset and offset this distance. There we go. All right, so these are all the pieces that we need. So we're going to go for real this time, go to the stair tool, and this time we're going to choose sketch stairs. Now when you're in sketch stairs, you want to keep an eye on these 3 icons here. So This icon defines the boundary of the stairs, which is the edges of the stairs. This determines the individual risers, and this determines the direction. So first thing we need to set is the boundary. Now, because we already sketched the stairs here, I don't need to draw the stairs. Instead, I can just use the pick line, and I'm just going to pick the edges. Now, very important, don't pick the start and end edges, because those are actually risers, right? So we're going to choose risers now, and we're going to go pick line again. We're going to pick each one of these risers. We're going to pick this one there. We need to actually we're going to need to trim these. All right. Now, one thing when we're doing the stairs tool, everything has to be very neat, or else the stairs won't generate. All right. Next, we're going to choose the direction of the stairs. So as usual, we're going to always start lower and go higher. So we're gonna start from here. I think we can just pick the lines again. There we go. Then we need to choose the levels. So we're gonna create the stair, and then we choose the levels. All right, so there we have the stairs. So we're now gonna click, and let's see what it looks like in 3D. All right, great. Well, we're going in the opposite direction though, unfortunately. So we're just gonna click this and go to flip. There we go. So this is the direction that we should go. Then we're also going to change the stair type. We're going to go to edit type. Okay, hold on, right? And we're going to change it to monolithic stair, because it's going to be a concrete stair. All right, the base level needs to actually be waterline. There we go. So yes, it's a little lower. We could actually let the top level be, so the top level is going to be level 1 upper, right? So this is where it should start. Then it would come down and go all the way down like that. Okay. We can go to edit stairs and click on the stairs, and we want to offset the height a bit. Let's try 6 inches. There we go. All right. So this basically works as how we want it. All right. We can also go to edit type here, and we can choose the underside of the stairs. Right now it's set to smooth. The structural depth is 150. We could make that 300. And you can see the stairs is a little bit more thick. We could make it like 1,000, and then that would basically give us a thick stairs, but let's leave it at that's good enough. All right, so we created a custom stair. Let's choose OK. And what we could do, this is just giving us a warning message about the different levels, but it's fine. Now, we could adjust the terrain to match the stairs more, but for right now, this is fine. All right, so let's create a third type of stair, which is going to be our spiral stairs, and that's going to be on the inside. So first we are going to save. All right, now before we create the spiral stairs, we're going to need to cut a hole, or we could create the stairs, then cut the hole. So let's go to the second floor, and well, let's go to the ground floor. So we want the stairs to be in this corner here. So I am going to use the detail line just to get an idea of where the stairs would be. It would be somewhere here. So it would be in this corner here. All right, so we're going to now go again to the stair tool, and this time we're going to go to a spiral stairs, right? And we're going to choose our base level. So our base level is going to be level 1 upper, and our top level is going to be finished floor level, because that's above the level 2. And we're just going to place the stair, and this would basically determine the radius of the stair. Now we can always edit this afterwards, so it's fine. So we need to determine where we start and where we end. So yeah, we could go, actually we should. All right, so what we can do again is, let's choose OK. Well, the type of stairs, we're going to choose a constructed stairs, and let's just change our settings. So we're going to change the carriage to open, so that is good. We also don't want any railings. Yep, that's good. All right, let's choose OK, and we can choose that option where we click the stairs and say section box, so we can see what it looks like. All right, that is pretty good. So we go around and then we come up like this. So we're going to need to edit the top floor to match the stair. So, and we also are going to need to edit how the stair ends. So it ends on a thread and not riser. But let's cut the hole first, right? Now to cut the hole, we can just click the slab here and we can edit the boundary of this, and we can just draw a, actually, yeah, we're going to need to open this entire area here. Let's sketch it in first. So it's going to be something like this. We can always edit it afterwards. Choose OK. Let's adjust the section box. Section box is really helpful to help us to isolate the areas that we're currently working in. All right, so we're gonna adjust this like that. If we can use the tool to our advantage here. Actually, we should just carry this all the way to the edge like that. Then we're going to do the same thing for this. So we're going to select the beam system, not the individual beam, but the beam system. And then we're going to go to edit boundary, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just draw a box, and then we're going to use the align tool. All right, choose OK. All right, now we need to carry this in front of the stair, and we need to edit the stair. So we're going to click on the stair, go to edit type, and then we're going to say, click on the stair again, and we're going to say end with thread. So there it goes. Then we're going to edit the, okay, edit the floor, edit the boundary, and let's see if we can use the pick line. We can pick this line here. We're going to trim this like that. We can do the same thing for the beam system. We're going to pick line, and then we're going to pick the edge of this line here, edge of this line here, and then we're going to just trim all the beams, follow that. All right, so then we have a stairs that goes all the way up. So we're definitely going to need to put some railings on this stair. All right, we can actually delete these tags. They came back when we, I guess, when we created those new beams. All right, so there goes our stairs for our upper floor. And if we look on the ground floor, we can delete this guideline that we used. All right, we're going to put a railing here as well to block off this section here. All right, so I do believe that we have placed all our stairs. We can delete these guidelines now that we used to create this stair. So we're actually going to select everything. We're going to select everything here and just use the filter tool. And we're going to filter for lines, and we can delete it. All right, so we pretty much have our stairs in, and there goes our spiral stair on the inside. So now we need to get the railings done. So let's talk about the railing tool. Now the railing tool in Revit is actually quite simple, but at the same time can be quite complex. So first, let's look at the general idea of how the railing tool works. So we're going to go to the level 1. And for example, we know that we need a railing to go all along this edge here. So we're going to go to architecture, go to railing. Now the first thing to notice is to see what level is our railing at. So we're going to change this to level 1 lower. And the railing tool works by sketching. So we're going to choose the line tool, and we're going to start from the center there, and we're just going to sketch like this. And then we're going to click on sketch again. See if we stop here. And then we're going to click on sketch again to this point here. Now, if we hit OK, then we have our railing. And if we go to 3D, let's disable the section box. You can see our railing is pretty much done. Now, to get a railing on a stairs, all we need to do is go to the railing tool. And this time we're going to choose pick host, and we're just going to choose actually to attach it to the stair, we're going to choose the little down arrow and choose place on stair or ramp. And then we're going to click the stair right there, and that's it. It's there. What we're going to do is click this side here, see if we can get to it, and then we're going to delete it from that side. All right. Now the same thing can be done to this stair here. So we're going to go to railing, the little down arrow, and choose place on stair, and there we go. Now we do need to edit this stair so that the railing stops at the end of the stair. So we can actually go into edit stair type and go to edit sketch. Now we do need to go to a plan view to properly see this. So let's go to plan, and we could take off a few risers, maybe like 2. It's okay and okay. Yeah, we need to get rid of width. Right, so we need to go up a little bit. So we're going to click on the stairs, and we are going to do a base offset of about 1. Yes, there we go. That ends just about right. Then we're going to add a railing here, and here. So we're gonna go to our level 1. This time when we go to railing, we're gonna make sure that we are on the level 1 upper, and then we're gonna sketch from here to here, and then we're going to sketch from here to here and here back to here. This is just saying that the railings that you draw has to always be connected. So we have to draw this, then choose OK, then go back again and draw another railing from here, because they always have to be connected. There we go. All right, now we need to add railings to the upper floor. So we're going to do that now. So go to railings, and then we're going to attach this to finish floor level. All right. All right. So we have the railings in now. Now, as you notice, there is nothing that too special about this railing. It's very basic. And this is one of the default railings that is built into Revit. Now, another thing that we can do with the railing tool is that we can customize what the railing looks like. And this is what we're going to do now so that these railings can be a lot nicer. So we're going to choose a reference image of a railing type. And if we take a look at this image here, I think that this railing type would be very nice, where we have some steel wires, a very kind of modern baluster that's going on here. So we're going to try to create this custom railing type using some of the railing tools. So let's put this over here. Now, the railing tool in Revit is, as I said, very simple, but also very robust. So to edit this railing, we're going to click on it, and then we're going to go to edit type. Now, railings are made up of different segments, right? So for example, these Revit refers to as the rails. Top rail, this is a top rail. This is actually a top rail extension type. These are balusters, these are handrails, and these are handrail supports, and then there are posts. So all of these railing types, Revit has options to edit all of these railing elements. And when we go about to create a railing, we have to just break it down in terms of elements. Now, if we take a look on what we have here, we can see that in this case, the rails are the wires. The top rail is this member here. The balusters are this kind of flat iron here. There are no handrails, no handrail supports, and then the post would be this square element here. Now, railings in Revit is what you call a system family, which is kind of similar to the beam system. It is a family that is made up of other subfamilies. So for example, the railing type itself is a system family, but each of these elements that make up the railing are individual family elements. And each of these family elements can be created or modified. So for example, we could create our own railing supports and then attach these railing supports to a railing system family to help to build up a particular railing style. Now, in our example here, we're not going to create custom railing elements. Instead, we're going to just use some of the elements that are default with Revit and just manipulate them to try and get this type of railing here. So let's head back over to Revit. Okay, so with the railing selected, I'm going to go to edit type, and right away we can see where we can edit the rail structure. We can edit the baluster placements, and we can do things like edit the baluster offset, and we can edit the top rail. So this top rail that you see here is what is represented here. There are no handrails that's in this design. So the first thing we need to do is to edit that top rail. And if we look back on our example here, we can see that the top rail is kind of this wooden element here. We could assume and say it's about maybe 2 inches by 4 inches maybe. So what we're going to do is just edit this railing type to match that one that we want. So if we go to use top rail, that is checked. This is the top rail height. So this is the height of the railing. And then this is the type of top rail that's being used. So we can see that it is 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter. But in our case, we want to make this 50 millimeter by 100 millimeters, because that's going to be the width of our railing. Now, if I click this options here, it brings up this second dialog box, and you can see that, okay, this railing is using a profile that is a M railing handrail 50 by 50 millimeters. Now, this profile, we can change it to other profiles, but unfortunately we don't have a profile that says 50 by 100 millimeters. So this is where we have to now create our own or modify this existing family. Now, we have to pay attention to what type of family element this is. This is a profile. So let's go hunting for this family element that is a profile to see if we can modify it. So I'm not going to change anything here. I'm going to just cancel out of this. And I'm going to introduce you to another important part of Revit. And that is going to be in our project browser. Now, we use our project browser to switch between different plans and different views. But the project browser also contains a list of every family and sub-family element that's being used in the entire project. So if I go all the way to the end of the project browser, you will see a category called families. Now, if I extend that, these represent all the families that are used in this entire project. And remember how Revit family works. Every single element in Revit is a family. It could be a system family, or it could be a family element. There are various types of families, and the Revit family editor is almost like a program in itself. For the most part, when you open Revit, it comes with a set of built-in families, and this includes wall, windows, railings, stairs. These are all built in into the program, and every single family that is used in the drawing is listed here under the families in the project browser. So we are going to be looking for a profile, and if you look here, these are different categories of families. So for example, ceiling families has things to do with the ceilings. Things like doors. So all of these doors that we used in the project, if I expand it out, these are all the doors that are used in the project. Now, once you load a family into Revit, it will show up under the families area right here. Now, in our case, we're looking for a profile. And if we scroll down, here we have profiles. And if we expand that, we have a couple of profiles loaded. Now, if we click on the railing, go to edit type, we can see that we're using, this is the name of the top rail. Let's go into this setting. Now, this is using a profile M rectangular handrail 50 by 50. So let's come back out. So M rectangular handrail, and if we expand this, we see that, okay, so this is a family. It is a profile family. And then this profile family has a configuration of 50 by 50. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this family here, and we're going to choose edit. Now, once you choose edit, Revit is going to switch over into the family editor mode. And this is almost like opening a completely new program within Revit. Notice that the ribbon is now changed, and you get a different set of rules when you're here in the family editor. Now, right now, what you're looking on here is a top view of a profile. So what a profile is, it is a 2D outline, and the intention is for it to be extruded. So for example, this is a profile that is extruded. So profile families are just outlines. They're just 2D outlines. So for example, if there is a shape that is like this, and it's a Revit family profile, then when you use it, it's going to be extruded up like this. That is the whole purpose of a Revit profile family. So this is why what you're seeing on screen is a flat 2D shape, because when it is used on the handrails, it is extruded along the path that the handrails are set. And of course, this measures 50 by 50. Now, we can click on these lines in the family editor, and we can actually try and move them. However, if we try to move them, we're going to get these messages about constraints, and we're not going to dive too deep into constraints now, but essentially the family editor, it is a parametric editor, meaning that you can insert parameters to change certain values of certain family objects. In this case, the length and width of the profile is parametric, meaning it's not intended for you to move or change it, but rather it's intended for you to insert a digit as a parameter and then have the size change. Now, while you're in the family editor, to be able to manipulate the family types, we're going to go to this icon here to go to family types. And we see here where there's a family type called 50 by 50, and this is what we saw earlier. So what we're going to do is create a new family type, and we're going to call this 50 by 100. We're going to choose OK. Now, this is just the name. Now, for the name 50 by 100, we're going to set the width to 100. So now we have two family types that are under this family profile. So 50 by 50 and 50 by 100. So we're going to choose OK. And now that we have manipulated this family profile, we're now going to save it. So we're going to hit save. And in this case, I'm going to save it here in my working files. And I'm going to call this rectangular handrail with 50 by 100 top rail. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to now load this family into the project. And I'm going to choose this option to load and close the family editor. All right, great. So now when I'm back into the project, notice I have another family called M rectangular handrail with 50 by 100 top rail. So now I have this family to choose from. So let's go to 3D view here. Let's click on the railing type and let's go to edit type, and where it says top rail, I'm going to go there. And this time we're going to change this to the one that says 50 by 100, and then we're going to choose OK. Now right away you can see the handrail changed, and we are now one step closer to creating this. We created the handrail. Now if we wanted the profile to match exactly with this rounded edge, then we could go ahead and create another family profile with the rounded edges just the same. But in this case, we're just going to create a simple representation. All right, now let's work on the balusters. So first, the posts, this looks like about a 50 by 50. So let's choose OK. All right, so let's go to edit type for the railing again. So now let's look at the baluster placement. Now, here is where things might seem a little complex, but if we look at this, this is just saying that up here, we have our main pattern. Remember, you are under baluster placement. So under baluster, the main pattern is going to be done using these rectangular, let's make it wider. It's going to be using these rectangular balusters. That is, and the family that is loaded is M baluster square 20 millimeters. Now, if we click this drop down here, we have a few others, but we don't have a 50 by 50. Now, another thing to note is that to keep track of what is what, we can open the preview menu here. And if we just hover over here and click, we see that, oh, these are what are the regular balusters. But if we go here, we click start post. This is our start post. End post, this is our end post. And corner post is whenever the railing bends a corner. Now, if we look back at our example here, we want to change the start and end post to be 50 by 50. So that's this post here. So right now, the start and end post and corner post is using this M baluster square, and there is no 50 by 50 option. So we're going to come out of this, and now we need to find that M baluster square. Now, if we look on the profiles, notice that we don't see it here. And the reason for that is that M baluster square is not a profile. Remember, we spoke about profiles, which is simply something that you extrude. Some families exist as 3D objects, some exist as profiles. So in this case, that M baluster is actually a 3D object, not a profile. So we're going to close this up, and we're going to find that under railings, expand this, and we see that we have M baluster square. So this is exactly what we need. And if we open that up, we see that there are two types, 20 millimeter and 25. However, we need a 50 by 50 millimeter. So we're going to right click and choose edit. Now we're back in the family editor, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go to the properties here, and we're going to create a new type, and we're going to call this type 50 millimeter. Now we're actually going to change the width to 50 millimeter, and that's the only thing we need to change in this case. So we're going to choose OK, and we see that it has gotten bigger. And then we're going to save this family now. So we're going to call this M baluster square with 50 by 50 post, and we're going to save that, and we're going to load this into the project and close. Okay, so now we're back into the project, and just like before, we now see a M baluster square with 50 by 50 post. All right, so let's head to the 3D view, click on it, go to edit type, and we're going to go into baluster placement, and we're going to replace these with M baluster with 50 by 50, and we're going to use this one. Choose OK. All right, so now we have the 50 by 50 for the start and end. Now the other thing we need to change, if we look back at our sample here, is that we only have these very slender balusters that are here, and they're not so much. So we can assume that this is perhaps 50 by 10. Now, just as before, there's no 50 by 10. So let's choose OK. We can see that everything is coming together so far. So we need to know, let's go back and edit this one, and let's go to edit type, and we're going to duplicate this, or we're going to create a new one, and we're going to call this 50 by 10. But this actually, we don't have the option here to change length and width, so we're not going to be able to use this here. So we're going to close this. But if we look here, we see that there is actually a M baluster steel flat. Let's see what we have here. So let's go to edit, and this is looking very similar to what we want. If we go to edit here, we see that it's 50 by 12. So let's create a new one that is 50 by 10 millimeter, and we're going to make the flat steel be 10. Let's choose OK. Then we're going to save this new family, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say width 50 by 10 ballast. We're going to load that into project, and let's head over to the railings and go to balusters, and we're going to change this to 50 by 10. Apply. All right, there we go. So now we have these flat pieces. Now, of course, there's a large space between them, so we could assume that this space here is maybe about 4 feet. So we need to change the distance from previous baluster to 4 feet. Apply. All right, that's looking like what we want. Let's choose OK. We also need to overhang the top rails. So if we go to top rail, we see that we can set the offset of the top rail. So let's look into these options here. So if we go into the top rail option, go down here, we see that we can extend the top rail here. So we're going to say, let's extend it by about 50 millimeters. And if we choose apply, we see that it has extended that way. So we're going to extend the other side 50. There we go. Choose OK and OK here. Apply. All right. So now we actually have these members. Now we just need to add the wires. And in this case, those wires would be rails. So we need to add more rails. Right now we have no rails. So we're going to choose insert, and we're going to call this wire. And the profile that we're going to use is, we're looking for something round. So we have a circular 30 millimeter rail, and we can choose the material for this. We can let it be metal, aluminum. All right, let's choose OK, see how it looks. And there's the rail down at the bottom, and it's definitely too thick. So first, let's change the offset, or the height. So the full height is 900. So let's make this about 800, maybe 700. There we go. All right. Now, the only problem is that this is too thick. So we need to do the same thing again. We need to go to our families, and this is a profile. So we need to look under profiles, and we see circular rail. So we're going to edit this. Go to the properties here, and we're going to create a new one, and we're going to make this about 5 millimeters maybe. So we're going to make the diameter 5 millimeters. Okay. we need to save this family, and we're gonna say with wire rails, with wire rail. Is okay. Load into project. All right. So now let's go to the rail structure, and we are going to change this to, here it is, rail with wire. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now we just need to duplicate this a few times. So let's make this one 600, and let's duplicate this again. Let's duplicate. All right, it was okay. All right, so that's it. So we have now changed this railing type. So now all our railings are now updated. We need to put another railing here. Let's do that. So we're gonna go to edit, and it's okay. All right, all right. That's our railings and our stairs. Now, if you notice that we have these handrails that are a little higher, that is perhaps because of how we choose to terminate the stairs. So we're going to go to edit type, and we're going to choose to end with, let's see if we choose end with riser. Right, so now this is a little lower. There we go. All right, so now we have just added railings and stairs. We looked on 3 different types of stairs: the straight stairs, which is a pretty common type, a custom stairs that we created here, and a spiral stairs that we created inside. We do need to add railings to the spiral stairs, so don't forget to do that. So we're going to go to railings and choose attach the stair. There we go. And then on the upper floor, so you arrive here, so we would need to add a railing here, and we would need to add a railing here. Oh, let's make sure we're on the right level. So this needs to be FFL. So let's go to railing again and make sure that we are on FF, and we're gonna do something like this. There we go. And we're gonna modify this here. Okay, all right, now we have fully added railings, and with that said, our building is looking quite nice.
All right, guys, so
yeah, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Sir, so we can just import a railing family from a site and just use it?
Yes, you can. You're free to use whatever railing you want.
Yes, sir. That kind of tedious.
I know, but guess what? A lot of times when I look on final projects and your elevation is pinned up on your sheet, I see the default railing and I'm like, so you can most definitely, you can download railing families, because nowadays there are so much resources for railings, and just pick one.
The thing is, ArchiCAD allows you to do that real time, so you can change the type of railing with the ballista, the material, without having to leave the project.
To go into the family. Yeah. ArchiCAD is a little different in how it works. You know, Revit requires you to like literally modify every element that makes up the railing into its own family, whereas ArchiCAD give you the options for you to do it there in the railing tool. You know, both of them achieve the same thing, but they take different paths, right? At the end of the day, one of the main differences with Revit's approach is that Revit is not just for architects. So even the metalwork guy that's on the project will be able to look into the individual pieces that you use for the railing and generate his pricing and whatever from the same project. So Revit kind of forces you to a few more steps, because it is also meant to be used by other professionals as well. But anyway, the concept is the same no matter what software you're using. In this case, we're using Revit though, right? And it is just a little bit more popular, so that's why we picked that one. But the concept is the same. So yes, to your answer, you can choose, you can download a railing and use it. It's totally up to you. I remember my example that I have here. I choose the more complicated path because I'm trying to catch all the possibilities that you guys will use for your design. Some of you might want to customize the railing. This is how you go about doing it. All right. All right. Some of you might choose to have flat roofs. That's still timber. Some of you might choose to have a shed roof. Right. Anyway, guys, so this is it basically. So when you look on the schedule, right? Let me bring up the schedule here. Before you guys go, here you go. All right, so remember, we don't have class next week. So we had a kind of 2-in-1 class today where we did a bunch of stuff. So officially this model is the checkpoint 3, which is the complete model, is going to be due in 2 weeks time. All right, guys. My budget to you is, before you leave class today, finish the roof and the upper floor, right? And when we don't have class next week, definitely finish the railings. Chance, I think that you guys can just finish the railings and stairs and everything today, because you don't have to create a custom railing like what I did. You can just pick a railing, right? There is, by the way, guys, there is some amount of marks given to, I guess you could call it difficulty factor or complexity. That's what I call it. So if you use the Revit default railing, then you check the box, you have a railing, but the railing is like very blah, you know? So in order for you to, if you really want to score as high as possible, try to push what you can do, right? Try to push it beyond the default Revit features. All right, guys. So I just want to remind you guys that I want you to use the time. Let's finish the model, right? As I said, I'm a bit concerned with those who submitted checkpoint 2, right? Which is the foundation on the site. Please, you need to push ahead and get it done. You have a crit coming up, so I want you guys to push to get it done. So that means that for our presentations, group 9 and 10 would not present next week Monday, because next week Monday is a holiday. So you guys would present on the 27th. All right, do we have anybody here from 9 and 10? Topic 9 and 10, anybody? No, okay. But later, we're going to come back here for topic 7 and 8. All right. So at 3 o'clock, topic 7 and 8 will present. And that is it. We won't be unveiling any more topics because we have unveiled all the topics. So we are pretty much done, almost done with the presentations. All right, guys. So after the presentation, if we have some time, I would like us to go into some of the challenges that some of you are having with your model and with the modeling. All right. So please bring your questions that you might have. All right, guys, that is it for class today. Please go ahead and finish the model. You have like half an hour left for the class. So see if you can wrap that up. And I will see you again later. I see a question from Zone. Samuel? What's up?
Can I speak to you after the class is finished, please?
Yeah, man, sure. As in for a meeting, for you need a room or?
Yeah, I just have a question.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, guys. For everybody else, I will see you guys later. As usual, I'll post the recording. Use it so you can finish up the model. Please don't fall behind. Try and get back up to speed. unit.